In this lesson, we're going to be setting up the city with 3D layers. Okay, so let's actually come over here to our project panel, and we want to open up our city comp. So we'll just double click that to open it up. And let's change the size of this to 1280 by 720. So I'm going to come up here to composition settings and change that up a little bit. And for this one, we really don't need it to be that default 30-second duration. Let's just try something like 10. That might even still be too long, but it's just so we don't have so much excess on the timeline. Okay, so this is looking pretty good, even though we're just starting out. We've got this kind of nice little city, and I've just selected everything, and I'm kind of moving these up here. Now I'm going to start to kind of move a few of them in a little bit and change their positioning slightly. So what I need to do is make some of these 3D, because what I want to do is I'm going to grab my other piece here, this other comp that says deep dish, and drop it on top here. And you can see how we've got our pizza logo. And what I want to do is kind of have this drop in from the sky, bam, and I want it to crush the buildings. So it makes it look like the pizza is really, really heavy. And, you know, Windy City, Chicago, it's deep dish pizza. And it's, you know, this is some buildings from the Chicago skyline. It's going to be awesome. So if we really want this to look great, we have a few things to think about. We want to know where our buildings should be placed so that whenever they are crushed by this piece of pizza, they actually look like they're falling on the ground. And then also we get a nice silhouette. See, right now our buildings look black, but our logo looks kind of like this sort of grayish color. So I'd like to go in and kind of fix that a little bit. This is something you might encounter if something ends up being in a different color space than you wanted it to be. You could fix it in the native file, or you could just fix it here in After Effects. So keeping in mind that we want these all to be black at the end, I don't want this overlapping with my piece of pizza. I want to give it a little bit of room here on the side so that I can really kind of see the outline and the edge of that. So I'm just kind of repositioning these so that I can see all of that kind of stuff. Now, before I get too far and really start moving everything, I want to have that pizza available to give me, you know, an idea of where I need to place things, but I can't get to any of the buildings behind it. So what I'm going to do is select it, hit the T key to bring its opacity up, and turn it down a little bit. Now, I'm also noticing that it has a pretty fuzzy edge, and that's because it's been scaled up past 100%. So what I can do is come over here and choose my collapse transformations, and then go into the comp and turn on continuously rasterize. And what that's going to do is say continuously rasterize is on for my vector layers. So whenever my deep dish is on in here and I've got that collapse transformations turned on, it's going to look inside, see that I have the continuously rasterize switches turned on, because it's different for comps and vector layers. What the switch is called, basically, if I hover over it, you can see for a comp layer it's collapse transformations, for a vector layer it's continuously rasterize, and you can see that now it's really nice and crisp. And then I'm going to actually lock the layer because I don't want to accidentally grab it. I want to be able to get the buildings from behind it and start to use them and move them around. Okay, so we are going to be creating a really cool skyline that we can have looking good behind our pizza and then looking awesome and making our pizza look really awesome once the pizza crushes it. So I'm just kind of getting these buildings situated, and I may want to even reuse a few of the super tall buildings from over here. So maybe I'll select that layer, hit Control D to duplicate it, and then pull this over and maybe kind of stretch it up so it's a little bit taller than it was before. And just kind of using what I've already got to make it even cooler. Maybe use this one right here, select that, hit Control D to duplicate it, and put that in place. I'm a little bit less concerned with the silhouette on this side as I am on this side, just because this side is at such an angle. If I didn't have anything spanning from here to here, it would look a little bit strange, but I can move this one over. We can make a little exception there. Maybe kind of stretch that one to make it a little bit wider looking. Okay, great. And it's also not going to matter as much that building, where that is, because it's going to fall down in a minute. Okay, so before I go in and just kind of duplicate everything to make more buildings, there's something I want to kind of have the foresight to change so I don't have to do it quite so many times. And that is the fact that some of these buildings are going to rotate down when they fall. Now, not all of them. Like these right here are going to stay the same because the pizza didn't crush them. So I can make sure just that the ones that I have here are definitely going to have their anchor point in the right position. So if I rotate these down and it's a 3D layer, then I'm going to want them to rotate from the bottom where they were originally attached to the ground. So let's go ahead and move their anchor points in anticipation of that. So I'm going to grab my pan behind anchor point tool and pull that down to the bottom. And if you don't like the way it gets really pixelated, that's the new fast previews functionality. So you can click that and turn that off, and then you can just move things and not have to worry about them getting pixelated. It's just trying to help your computer go faster, but sometimes it's actually harder to see what's going on and it doesn't help. It just is annoying. Okay, so now we've got all of those in place. And I want to actually maybe take this building, hit Control D to duplicate it, maybe pull that one over in on this. And I want to end up with about 12 buildings behind the pizza. So let's see, right now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I need to double that. So I'm going to go in between lessons and grab about 6 more buildings and then just kind of arrange them in here behind this piece of pizza. And then we'll come back in the next lesson and actually create the pizza drop when the pizza comes down from the sky. So we'll come back in the next lesson and I'll have the city kind of finished up being set up. Don't worry about the 3D layers yet. We're just getting these things into place, and the pieces of the city that are behind this piece of pizza, we want their anchor points to be at the bottom of the buildings. So stick around and we'll be creating the pizza drop in the next lesson.